So Sanjay, we are here together after a fascinating week in India, starting in the north of India, in your hometown, more or less hometown of
West.
Yes, in Bombay or Mumbai.
Bombay is what I prefer to call it.
And now we are in Bangalore.
Very good.
And yesterday we were in Madras.
That's right.
So with your long
Which is called
experience,
Chennai now.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about, India is incredible, as it says. So the country is changing at a pace which is frightening to the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
But the wine is a little bit left behind. So you have amazing food, a diversity which is unbelievable. We think we have the wines, and you know the pairing better than anybody else.
Absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your feeling about what role our wines can play in India.
Absolutely. So I won't get into the politics of why your wines are not able to do better at this time, but really it's the government that's coming in the way with some misplaced sense of protection for what they see as domestic industry, which really doesn't exist. But should the market open up, we see that there's a potential that's far in excess of what you're seeing in China today, simply because I believe that the culture of wine is well suited to the fact that we are an old culture, and also that wine is an intellectual pursuit, and I believe that a large part of the population is grown up on a surfeit of education, and it's an intellectual population. And maybe the French won't like it, but I think the language of wine is English, and unlike with the Chinese, where you have to create a new lexicon for wine, you won't have to do that with this market. Coming to food and pairing wine, to start with, of course, as you may have seen in the rest of this part of the world or every other part of the world where people are learning to appreciate wine, it's actually, when I speak about us, there are two cultural barriers here. First is that of the taste of wine. For those who are drinking wine for the first time, it tastes a little bit like sour grape juice, and which is what it is.
Even so, so yesterday we had this fascinating dinner with South Indian cuisine.
Indeed.
And we had Riesling, which is our lighter-bodied, higher acidity wine.
Absolutely.
Which was transformed by
Absolutely.
the spice. Right?
Absolutely. Indeed. Absolutely. So, if I could come back to developing what the two cultural barriers are. Well, first, the taste of wine itself, and the second is that of drinking anything with food. Because my grandmother said that I should finish all my food before I even touched water, so that I make sure that I pack all the food into my stomach, and so that no food is wasted. Of course, that's all changing today, but we never traditionally drank anything with food, not even water. We were advised to eat our food and drink water a good 20 minutes or half an hour after the meal, but that was more driven out of an environment of deprivation or lack of food, let's say. But I firmly believe that there's a great potential for pairing wine with Indian food, and I think that to borrow what the French say, our food is incredibly perfumed so as to make it eminently pairable with wine. When you come to pairing with wine with Indian food, spice can tend to be a hindrance, is what the Western palate tells you. But for us, when we have a much different level of tolerance to spice, I find that I can eat what I eat regularly at home or even outside where it's quite heavily spiced. There's sufficient on my palate to allow me to engage with several wines from around the world, and none better than the wines of Alsace. I think the unique terroir and the topography and the harsh climate that you have, if I may call it harsh, gives this possibility for a range of fabulously aromatic varietals that you make there, which I don't think come together anywhere else in the world, with starting from Riesling and Pinot Gris and on the other end of the spectrum, Gewürztraminer. All of these three varietals are eminently pairable with moderately spiced Indian food. And we saw that, as you saw last night, where we had this fabulous experiment where we had 10 vegetarian courses and 10 non-vegetarian or meat and fish and chicken courses served in a convivial conference sort of setting that we organized with 20 of us around a large square table. And the courses kept coming out, and we had 6 different Hugel wines, starting from the Gentil.
So maybe Gentil, because it's a mixture, it's a blend, it's an assemblage of our 3 main varieties, and it's the most accessible in terms of style. It's light, refreshing. It combines the quality of the 3 main grape varieties, Riesling, Pinot Gris, and Gewürz. Maybe that's the starting point, right? To bring people to the wines of Alsace.
Absolutely. When you put your nose into a glass of Gentil, you're blown away straight away, because you don't see that in any other wine anywhere in the world, and it's a fantastic revelation to know that Alsace is all about single varietals, the wine being named by the varietal from which it comes, quite in contrast to what you have in the rest of France. And then you find this incredible wine, which is a hark back to a tradition that the Hugels had in the early part of the 20th century, when you blended all the varietals together, and you have a fantastic explosion of aromas on the nose, and then you have this fabulous racy acidity. And I think acidity is so important for pairing with our food.